Let's carry on with the file from our previous example. Let's talk about some more options that we can use when creating this wireframe geometry to encompass our part. We've already talked about simply creating a rectangle or rectangular shapes. We've created a silhouette boundary of our part, then used some of our line tools such as line parallel to make a line that was tangent with some of our geometry. We looked at extending, breaking, modifying the lengths, and joining entities to put all those pieces together. Some of the things that we haven't talked about yet are modified tools like divide, fillet, and chamfer, and we haven't really talked about project or some of these other options over here. And again, we're not going to be able to cover every option in here. We just want to talk about some of the basic things that we do need. So from here, the next thing that I want to do is I want to start by creating a new level for some more wireframe geometry. We're going to create level 108 and hit enter. We're going to name this level, and it's going to be our fixture setup for our wireframe, but we're going to call it bounding box. So we'll start by typing fixture setup-1 bounding box. Now keep in mind the process that we're following is really more instructional. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do all of these options whenever you're creating this geometry. We simply want to look at some of the different ways that we can create these rectangles or squares that encompass our part, so that way you have all the tools you need regardless of what geometry you come across. So for me, the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a bounding box based on my silhouette boundary. Bounding box can create a 2D or a 3D set of wires. So if we're selecting, for example, the solid body for the chain guard, we would be creating a 3D cube that is bound by these wires. But what we want to use it for is for 2D. So we're going to select bounding box, and what we want to do is we want to select the entire outside profile. In order to do this without the chain manager, we're going to hold down the shift key, then left click on one of the wire entities. If it doesn't carry all the way around the part, simply hold down the shift key and left click. And you'll notice that we're working our way around the part. And I'm going to do the same thing down here until I have all of my entities. Based on how the silhouette boundary was created, there's a chance that it won't automatically connect all the way around the part for you, but simply hold down the shift key and work your way around. We're going to end the selection. And now what we're doing is we're creating a new wireframe bounding box. And notice that we have some options in here. The shape, rectangular or cylindrical. Now, of course, in our case, we're dealing with rectangular, but cylindrical could be used for revolved parts. As we go down, we can dictate where the origin of the rectangular shape is going to be. Now, this is helpful when we're dealing with a 3D or cube, but since we're dealing with a 2D square or rectangle, it's automatically placed at the bottom center. You'll notice that the size is 198 by 197.9, so roughly 198 by 198 millimeters, and the Z value is 0 because we're only dealing with 2D. Push-pull, we have absolute and incremental values, and then for create geometry, we are going to be creating lines and arcs, arcs if needed. We're going to be creating corner points, center points, or face center points if needed as well. So if we want to add additional entities such as corner points, we can turn those options on. And then we simply say OK, and our geometry has been created. Now it might be kind of hard to see because we've already done this exact thing by taking a look at using some of our line tools like line parallel. But if we hide level 107, you can see what we're left with is level 108 with 8 entities. These will be the 4 lines for our bounding box, as well as the 4 corner points we added. Now if we decide that we need those corner points, we can simply go around and select them, and we can hit delete on the keyboard to remove them. Then we're simply left with our 4 line entities that are our bounding box. Now what do we do from here since we've created this bounding box? Well, again, just like our original, we can offset it a specified amount. Next, what we can do is we can use the offset chains, select this, and we can offset it a distance outward of 1 millimeter, making sure that we're not adding fillets to the corners, and we can say OK. And because we've created this geometry with a bounding box, we can simply move it instead of copying it. That way, if we bring back level 107, you can see the purple selected wire is now the outside, just like our original option of offsetting that geometry. From here, what we could do if we needed a specific size box is we could move these around, or we could create a rectangular shape, locking it at 200 by 200 to this bottom left-hand corner. So we could use that option to create our new specific size. But again, we're talking about a very minimal difference in these lines. You can see that 200 by 200 is just a little bit different than the 198 by 198 that was originally created by our bounding box and then offset out. So these are various ways that we can create this geometry, and it really just depends on what the final size is that you need. Ultimately, it's going to be best for us to go with some sort of standard measurement like 200 by 200. So creating that bottom left corner point is going to help us. I'm going to use Control-Z to undo. So now you can see we only have 4 entities back on level 108. Again, this is just another method of creating very similar geometry. We've already looked at doing it by creating a rectangular shape that was 200 by 200 approximately placed. We looked at creating that silhouette boundary, getting an accurate representation of the minimal bounding box size, and then we offset that a distance of 1 millimeter. And then we looked at creating the actual bounding box shape by selecting our geometry, then offsetting and moving that out 1 millimeter. From here, the best option for you obviously is driven by the geometry you're working with. If it's very rectangular in nature and you need a specific size rectangle, you can simply create an arbitrary point you want to start with and make your basic shape, in this case 200 by 200, as long as it encompasses the geometry. For us, the best option is going to be creating a 200 by 200 box that's located at the right point. So what I want to do is I'm going to go and delete all the geometry here. So I want to select everything we see here and hit delete. So now you can see level 108 has 0 entities on it. I'm going to select level 107, and level 107 will give me 82 entities. Holding down the Shift key, I'm going to Shift select both of those and hit delete. This is going to leave me with just my original shape of a silhouette boundary of my part. So now I have the silhouette boundary that's located on level 107, and I've got 108 active but no entities on it. From here, what I want to do is I want to create a perfect bounding box of this geometry. Again, Shift select. Holding down the Shift key allows me to grab the entire outside chain. I want to create those corner points. I want to end my selection and say OK. From here, I'm going to offset. And instead of offsetting chains, I'm going to offset these entities. And notice that it only allows me to select one, and then I have to indicate the direction. So I can indicate going this direction a distance of 1 millimeter. And I'm going to hit the plus check icon, which allows me to keep this operation on and simply move. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to use the trim to entities option. And I want to extend this out. And I want to extend this out. And what this does is it gives me a new corner reference. So all these entities will allow me to create a corner reference, and then I can create a point position. And then I can delete all of these other entities by selecting them and deleting them. The reason that I'm getting rid of these is because I don't actually need them for my final geometry. But now I have a corner point that I can use to create my rectangular shape, which will give me a 200 by 200 millimeter box that is located at that corner. So now I've accurately created the size of my box, which is 200 by 200. I've located it very precisely based on the geometry around it. So I know that I've offset it outward a small amount. And now I have these entities located directly on level 108 that I can now use to create solid geometry as needed. I'm going to hide level 107. I'm going to right click and go to a top plane, and I want to make sure that I save my file before moving on to the next step.